Yeah.
There was an interesting thing that I sent you a meme. Well, it wasn't a meme by Squat Like Chow.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he put up a thing about if everyone took as much effort into their training as they do into their nutrition, they might make more gains.
Yeah. So
and what he was referring to was that most people just don't train hard enough, which is the reason why they don't make any gains.
yeah, it's you can out-train your bad diet by having tried to out-train your bad diet. I think the way
That's
you put
right.
it.
Yeah.
So if you're eating shit and you go and train like you normally would, you're not really doing much in the difference. But if I like to think is like if I had some like real disgusting food, like severely calorically dense, like if I went and had like a pizza and a burger and a tub of ice cream, I'm like the next day I want to have the best workout of my life.
Look, I've known cases of people who pay no attention to their nutrition and
Yeah.
have got really great physiques, but when you see them in the gym, they're like an animal.
Yeah, they train hard.
They train
Very
hard.
Yeah.
And I think the problem these days is that people are usually blaming their lack of training intensity on, oh yeah, it's just my nutrition is not good enough.
Yeah, it's always like I just gonna get my eating under control.
Yeah.
It's like,
No,
you're training.
I think, and look, that's the case even here at the gym. We see a lot of people here train at the gym and they really don't push themselves to that point where they need to if they want to build some muscle.
I've always said your diet fuels your training.
Yeah.
So if you're eating more calories, you should be able to do more in the gym. If you eat less, you're doing less.
Yeah.
Like even when I give diets to people these days, it's very, very carbohydrate heavy, just because your body needs that sort of fuel source, the carbohydrate source. So when I get someone on a diet and they say, oh, I've been eating a lot, and I'm like, okay, how much are you eating? Oh, you know, this much. So I'm like, okay, so around 2,000 calories a day. Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, that's nothing. You're lying. So I'll give them a diet, and I'm like, cool, how much do you train? So I train this hard, I weigh this much, we do some pinch tests. I'm like, sweet, awesome. This is what you need to eat per day as maintenance. And roughly, you're looking around, let's say an average 80 kilogram male who trains 5 days a week, you know, relatively lean, let's say 13, 14% body fat. He's like, he probably needs 3,500 calories maintenance just to maintain that mass if he's training as hard as he said he does. So I give someone a diet that's at their maintenance, and that's all I'll do. I'll go, here, eat this. What's this for? Just eat at your maintenance. We'll see what happens. And they lose 3 kilos.
Yeah.
It's like I can't eat all the food. It's too much food. Like, well, you haven't been eating enough. And
That's
then
right.
all of a sudden they're training like goddamn monsters because they're eating enough.
Yeah.
It's really interesting,
Yeah.
and it's I think it's scary the lack of things that people know about eating. Like I feel like if you want to live a healthy life, you should learn what a calorie
Well,
is.
we've spoken about this, that should be a curriculum in school.
100%, yeah, no, 100%. And like, if you go to a kid like, this is a donut, this is 300 calories. This is a meal, it's 300 calories. This contains this much sugar, this much fat, and then you got the meal, then you got this much this. You can have both, but what one is better for you in the long run?
That's
You know,
right.
and people can learn, and they can think, oh, now if I want to have that bit of cake, I can not eat this later on, and still be within the healthy range. So yeah, no, 100%. It should be a curricular activity. It should be taught in schools. It's a very important thing. And then you will see less obesity, and then you will see people go, wow, no obesity now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also getting back to the training intensity, I think there's a number of reasons. Well, I think one of the reasons these days people lacking training intensity is, well, one, they don't progressively measure their work, so they don't apply a progressive overload to their training. I think some of these mega gyms are a problem as well, because people seem to think that, oh, I've got 27 different pieces of back equipment that I can use here. Every time I work out, I'm going to do something different.
Yeah.
And this notion of confusing the muscle is a load of crap.
No, you're confusing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I can remember that podcast with Luke Wood, rest his soul, when someone asked him about that.
Yeah.
And he said, like, what the fuck does that mean? Like confusing the muscle.
Yeah.
He was saying, pick 4 exercises per body part, get really, really good at them, do them repetitively for months on end, and you'll grow.
Yeah. Because that's all muscle growth is. It's a. If you look at muscle growth, it's the muscle's way of adapting to a stressor. That's all muscle growth is. And the way you adapt to something is you get used to it, and then you progressively, then you add a little bit more. You get used to it, you add a little bit more. this is what muscle growth is. So if you're doing the same thing day in, day out, the same weight, the same reps, the same notions, the same movements, you're not going to make any difference because your muscle only knows the stressor which you're putting under now, which is practically what you're doing nothing. Like there's no stressor whatsoever. So aim to beat your best, aim to always add a little bit difference. It could be in the form of an extra rep, an extra set, more controlled tempo, or the easiest way I found, an extra half a kilo.
Yeah.
That easy. That's the most easiest way to make progression.
That's
Just
right.
slow increments. They add up over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And write stuff down.
Write stuff down
Write
so
stuff
you
down.
can look back on what your last workout was, because you're not going to remember it. You're not going to remember what you did. So look back on it. And that's what we do. When we do a training block, we do anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks is a training block. And we do the same exercises for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Don't change the exercises, but strive to get stronger and progress on them. So regardless of what your training tempo is, whether you just squeeze in your muscles or whatever and slow work, doesn't matter. Squeeze one more extra rep next week, or put half a kilo on and squeeze the same amount of reps. That is the simple concept of weight training, and people just overcomplicate it. You know?
Yeah. Sitting on an incline bench with your body turned like this and you're pressing this way is not going to work your inner pec.
No.
It's just going to work your pec.
It's going to work your pec.
You don't have to do something crazy because you saw a pro do it. Pros would do that stuff because they've already spent the years building up that huge foundation of just muscle. And then they're doing those little fine tweaks to, I want to try emphasizing this part. They don't know it's going to work.
No.
You don't know. There've been no studies on how do you increase your left pec on the 95-degree angle to your right. You know, there's no studies on that stuff. But I'll do it because I can feel it there. I'm going to keep doing it and then see what happens.
Every pro that I've spoken to built their physique on a foundation of big, heavy squats, deadlifts, benches, pressing movements. Now, when they've reached that stage of their career, they're looking to, like you said, refine their physique. They're looking to get that little bit more separation between their front and their side delt. So they are going to go back to lighter weights and more squeezing and different tempos to try and isolate that muscle. So don't emulate when you see pros training unless you see them deadlifting 300 kilos for reps.
haven't seen a lot of people emulate that. Like, still to this day, James Hollingshead is one of the best bodybuilders to follow on Instagram.
Mike Pearson.
Mike.
Follow Mike Pearson. This guy is deep into a contest prep. He's like 6 weeks out from a comp. Deadlifting 300 kilos.
That's good. You put me into another segue now, because I'm just thinking that there's this notion that during comp prep you have to train lighter.
Oh yeah, I've dropped the weights and increased the reps.
You're going to get weaker. Of course you're going to get weaker because your body's not going to have the abundance of fuel available to fuel your muscles to work out longer or harder than you had before. But you can damn well try.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the mental tenacity that I feel terrible, I feel tired. You know, but when you watch Hollingshead, Mike Pearson, these guys, like Mike now, is virtually contest ready. And he's squatting 300, deadlifting 300. Just enormous weights and still looking massive.
Don't put your training down just because your energy levels are going to be low.
No.
Keep that the same, because the idea in a comp prep is you want to maintain or even add a little bit more muscle on during a prep.
I always tell your comp, just because you go into a comp prep, your training shouldn't change. The only thing that changes is you add cardio in and you're starting to drop calories in your nutrition. That's it. You should always consider that as soon as you walk into the gym, you're going in there to build muscle and get stronger. Doesn't matter what the phase. Our training doesn't change because you're in a comp track. When I was competing, my training didn't change. I kept training the same with the notion of building muscle and getting stronger. That's it. All I changed was my nutrition, added in cardio.
And if we go back to our stressor before, if you've been lifting, imagine you've had this huge off season. You've hit PBs. You've been eating more. You've been feeling great in the gym. Your muscle has adapted to that level of work. Now then you go, okay, I'm going to drop my food back, so I'm trying to lose body fat now, but I'm also going to drop my training in regards to that. you're now applying less stress on the muscle, causing it adapt or to, you know, get smaller in that case because you're using less weight.
Yeah.
And then that's going to keep going. You're going to go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm feeling a bit weaker now. I'm going to drop weight a little bit more, but I'll go more higher rep. I'll still squeeze more. Again, the stressor before was better because I had more weight. And then you slowly fall in this very deadly curve of being full of muscle. And then when you get on stage, you look stringy, you look flat.
Yeah.
And then you come out of prep and you're like, oh, now I'm going to start eating more. But now you're fatter than you were before because you've got less muscle to maintain, to burn. You know, it's, I feel like, see what I mean? I've opened something here.
Well, it's true, you know. But yeah. Anyway, we can leave it at that.